Okay, we're on day five, David Burke preliminary hearing updates. I'm now going into my second recap. We're at the cross examination where Blair Burke is going to cross examine the detective that is on the stand. They want to verify that the first in person talk between like David and Celeste was between, they were saying like 2022 November. There was some a little bit of stuff between the fact that the defense was using the raw data information of text messages and the detective had the Celebrate data that he was using. So in August 2022, iMessage, the detective did verify that it shows him a Cellubrite report to authenticate versus what the defense was giving him, which was the raw data. Now, defense was trying to say that Celeste asked how old David is during that time and saying that David told her 17, and this is when Celeste was 11 years old. Defense asked the detective about focusing on age during these messages while he was doing his investigation, and he said yes, he used their date of births, which are public to determine. Now, on August 8th, 2022, they were saying that when David said he was 17, Celeste said that she was 16 years old. The detective agreed and said, yes, he was aware. They said that later on, Celeste represented her age as 18 years old further in the timeline. Now, April 22nd to April 23rd, 2005, they submitted to the court a 90-page document of these iMessages, and this is the raw data that I'm talking about, and this is what they used to go over further text messages to cross-examine. So now we're going back into text messages, and they reference different text messages that were not presented from the prosecution. So this is early in the conversation. Celeste says to David, I will straight up mutilate your P, his private. David says, you have turned it into a bigger thing than ever, this conversation right now. The only way shit makes sense is when I don't tell you until after the fact. I also then missed a bit of a sentence. I was writing as fast as I could, but it was something about her looking through tagged posts to kind of find out what she wanted to find out. Celeste messages back, nah, I don't even play like that. I'll dead go to Val's door knocking, crying on some crazy shit you guys been doing, bro. On April 22nd, David texts, why do you think you just proved my exact point? I have one more chance, bro. My exact point, end. And then Celeste replies, you have one more chance, bro. Tell me the truth. Bro, I won't do anything. Tell me the truth, David, please, and let me see you tonight if it's true. On Wednesday, April 23rd at 8:28 p.m., David texts, how are you going to say you feel distance when you've been pushing me away since beginning of year? Now, Celeste replied a long statement that there was no possible way for me to get everything, but I wrote the context of what it was. And again, I wrote as fast as I could. These text messages go up pretty quick on the screen before they get taken away from us. And it said, if she sees stuff, the context was with Asia in it, that she will make an anonymous account online and start to leak things and information. Celeste went on to also text, and I have all the old numbers from my old phone printed, so I can find your mom's number to text her anytime. So don't try testing me, LOL. David replies, okay, with a laugh cry emoji. Celeste then responds, I also have Nathan's fiance on my phone, and I'm sure the word would spread to your work, girl. She also then went on to say, cause you lucky I on F with you for money, and I got the mindset like some, don't sit with me, I can push you away like that. For real, cause I ain't care about sticking with you long run to get shit later like that. Shit don't matter to me. I'm willing to walk out anytime, girl, no jokes. David texts, I know you ended the friendship like 10 times. He then says, when you come, are you going to want food? Because I'm going to be starving when I get home. Celeste says, I'm sure. What kind, girl? David says, I'm feeling in and out. Celeste says, okay. Now, I just took some notes that I saw. They didn't read these out loud, but she had been saying, are you dining with the nerds? That's why. And he said, nah, in a scope meeting because album time. Then Celeste says, oh, congrats, girl. David says, oh, I didn't see that. WTF is you shit. And then I couldn't get, there was no other text to be referenced. Then we went on to discuss further things about the family. During cross-examination, they asked about May 2024 and mentioned when Celeste was living with aunt and cousins out here in Los Angeles. She wanted to say that the defense said that the family, aunts and cousins were aware of a relationship, that David even went to church with Celeste's family. Now, the detective verified that he can't say that that happened, but the text messages between them would imply that, yes, that did occur. It was also said that the defense stated the aunt said that David would pick up Celeste and take her on dates to the movies and mall, and that family also had gone to Six Flags with them. Now they were talking about Vegas 2024 when they were going to that Trump hotel, which I previously reported on. This is when the defense spoke of the fact that the adult sister of Celeste was aware of the relationship and that she accompanied them on this trip and that she went at the same time. And well, the detective said, yes, she went at the same time. She traveled differently, but she stayed in a different hotel. However, she did interact with the both of them during this trip. The defense also acknowledged with the detective verified that Celeste's friends were aware of this relationship in February of 2024. The defense also wanted to make aware that David's mom was aware of them and their relationship and mentioned that they also had that trip to Houston that occurred. At this point, the timing, this is when Celeste's parents actually wound up coming into the courtroom. Jesus and Mercedes, they actually sat directly in front of me. And at this time, the timing here was just crazy. They put up a form, photo evidence, and it was a travel consent form. And this is a big breaking news thing because everybody was wondering, how was she able to travel internationally and get to London? Well, there was a travel consent form that was signed on September 23rd, 2004. And it was signed by Jesus and Mercedes that gave consent for Celeste to travel to London with no family members, but with David. And that trip was from September 28th to October 5th. The defense also went on to verify with the detective who he agreed with these things, saying that people David worked with were aware of her presence and who she was. They said yes, not necessarily the relationship, but who she was. They went on to say that David, his managers and his record company went with Celeste to Coachella in 2024. They also noted that his producer went out socially with David and Celeste. The last name is Toomey, Toomey. I couldn't exactly hear the first name. I don't know if it was Greg. I might have been that, but the last name for sure was Toomey, Toomey. They also then spoke about the fact that Celeste attended the Fonda Theater concert and was on camera being seated with David's family. The detective agreed with that. Then they tried to bring up something saying that Celeste committed domestic violence against David prior to 2020. They said 23, but then they said during 2024 and 2025. Obviously there was objections to that, not understanding what that was. Now, here we're going to talk about because it seems like they're trying to imply a potential self-defense motive. They said, asked the detective if in text did Celeste reference frequently BPD, bipolar disorder. He verified that. Celeste referred also on multiple occasions to wanting to unalive herself. The detective said that was correct, but not sure about multiple times. The defense was also saying that Celeste initiates and demands that she go over to see David. And the detective said she wanted to see him. Yes. The defense says that it was 7 times. I'm going to end the second part right here just to make sure I get these uploaded because I don't have a ton of time. And I will see you in the next one.